My beloved child, be still for a moment and listen deeply within, allowing your soul to open to the gentle calling I am sending to you now. What I speak today is not merely a passing reminder, but a tender and earnest awakening from the realm of light. I see how your soul is sometimes drawn into the small matters of daily life until your heart gradually grows weary and begins to forget the direction I first set before you. There are things that seem insignificant habits repeated day after day. Choices you believe hold little importance, yet they quietly shape the path upon which you walk. Often you lift your eyes to me and ask that I open great doors for you, that I grant you new seasons of blessing. But you have not yet realized that many of those doors are waiting for your own hand to turn the key of simple obedience in the ordinary moments of your life. Therefore I speak to you gently. Learn to release the things I am softly touching within your heart. It may be something you continue to hold because it feels familiar, a bond you have not yet dared to leave, a small habit you consider harmless, or a quiet fear that causes you to hesitate. To you, it may appear insignificant, yet I see far deeper than that. I see how it dims the clarity of your spiritual sight and slows the flow of grace that longs to pour into your life. I did not create you to live bound by invisible chains. I created you so that your soul might be open and expansive, so that you may walk in freedom and light, and so that your life may align with the good purpose I prepared long before you ever knew the days that lie ahead. But my child, the freedom I promised does not come from striving harder or forcing yourself to be stronger. It comes from something simple yet profound, placing your heart in obedience. In my kingdom, obedience is the language of love and faith. Every miracle that has ever appeared upon this earth began with a heart willing to say yes to my voice. When someone dares to step beyond what is familiar in order to follow my leading, the doors of the impossible begin to open. This does not happen because they understand everything, but because they trust that I see what they cannot yet see. You often desire understanding before you take a step, yet true faith frequently begins where your reasoning comes to an end. I know that some of the things you hold on to are not clung to out of stubbornness, but out of fear of the emptiness you imagine would follow if you let them go. You fear that leaving what is familiar will strip away the small sense of safety you have grown used to leaning upon. But listen to me with a gentle heart. The very place where you release your grip is where my hand begins to move. When you close an old door, I open a new one that is far wider. When you step away from the darkness that has become familiar, only then can new light flood your soul. You cannot cling tightly to what is old while expecting new life to blossom. The small compromises you tolerate are sometimes like stones lying in the path of a stream. The water of grace is still there, yet it cannot flow freely when obstacles remain within your heart. My blessings are not always found in the place where you feel most secure. They are often waiting on the other side of the boundary that obedience invites you to cross. Yet do not think that I am waiting for you to live a flawless and perfect life. I am not searching for someone who has never stumbled. What I seek is a heart that returns to me whenever it strays. I seek a soul willing to rise again after moments of weakness and whisper, "Father, I still desire to walk in your way." What I treasure most is not your perfection, but the softness of your heart. When you place that heart into my hands, I can turn even the smallest things into something great. Look at the way I work throughout my creation. A seed must surrender itself to breaking open in the soil before new life can emerge. A young shoot must push beyond the shell that surrounds it before it can rise toward the light. Your soul is no different. When you humble yourself before me, that is the moment I lift you higher than you ever imagined possible. You may think the small details of your life are not worth noticing, but I see that they are weaving the path you walk. The words you speak when no one is listening, the thoughts you nurture in silence, the way you respond to the smallest situations, together they form the garden of your soul. And within that garden I see certain small things quietly causing the good fruit I desire to plant there to wither. not because you intend to do wrong, but because you have grown accustomed to letting them remain for too long. That is why I am calling you back to the garden of your own heart. Allow me to step into the corners you once tried to hide. Let my light shine upon the places you have kept in silence. I do not come to condemn you. I come to cleanse, to heal, and to renew. When you allow me to touch the deepest parts of your heart, you will feel your burdens grow lighter and peace will begin to grow within you. Beloved child, obedience is not a chain placed upon you. It is the path that leads you back into the current of grace. When you walk according to my voice, the tangled things of life begin to find their proper place. Your mind becomes less troubled, and your soul discovers rest. But when you attempt to manage everything on your own without listening to me, you must carry every burden upon your shoulders, and weariness will slowly settle over your life. Perhaps you have wondered why there are moments when you feel exhausted along the journey. Remember this: when you strive in your own strength, fatigue will soon follow. But when you place your steps within my guidance, you no longer walk alone. I carry what you cannot bear, and I lead you through paths that you could never clearly see by yourself. All it takes is a simple word from your heart, yes, Father. That small confession, though it may seem insignificant, has the power to set in motion things far greater than you can presently see. Do not underestimate the quiet moments of life. When no one else is watching, I am watching. When there is no applause, I am still taking note of your faithfulness. You often ask me for miracles, and I hear every one of those prayers. Yet you must understand that many miracles begin with your own decision to obey. When you choose what is right in the smallest matters, you are opening the door for my power to enter your life. In time, you will realize that what I have prepared for you is far greater than anything you ever dared to hope for. Therefore, my child, keep your heart soft toward my voice. Walk step by step in obedience, and you will see light gradually unfolding before you. I am always here, gently guiding you, so that your soul may be free and your life may blossom in the blessings I prepared for you from the very beginning. My child, let your soul grow still once more, for I desire to lead you deeper into the path that I am opening before you. For a long time I have been searching for souls who are not swept away by the noisy calls of the world. Souls who can pause in the midst of life's rushing current and recognize my whisper. I long to see hearts that do not tremble when they must stand apart from the crowd, people willing to follow the light, even when that path requires them to leave what is familiar behind. You were not born to dissolve into a nameless multitude. You were created to carry the imprint of heaven in every step you take. Those who belong to me do not live in fear of loss, for they know that their true provision does not rest in human hands but in mine. Neither do they cling tightly to what is temporary, because they understand that every good thing can endure only when it is held within the hands of the giver of life. And as they walk in truth, the chains around their souls slowly fall away. I know well that your journey is not always strong. I see the days when you grow weary, the moments when you resolve to move forward, yet falter again. The promises you once spoke to me but later forgot in the busyness of life. But my child, I do not come to recite your failures like a list of accusations. I come to open before you a new morning. My mercy does not run dry, and my grace is poured out like the dawn that always returns after the darkest night. I do not call you by the mistakes of your past. I call you by the new identity I prepared for you, long before you understood your worth. You are loved. You are chosen, and you are freed from every chain of yesterday. Therefore, do not remain trapped in circles of regret. Step out from the shadows of heavy memories and move into the place where your soul can breathe again in freedom. You must understand that every act of obedience you make, no matter how small, resounds like a testimony in the unseen realm. Faith is not only expressed in grand prayers, It is revealed through the quiet choices of each day. When you decide to release something that once bound you, when you stop before a habit that once led you away from the light, or when you whisper a prayer instead of letting complaints rise from your lips. Heaven sees it all. Not a single tear falls from your eyes without my knowing it. Not a whisper spoken in the darkness escapes my hearing. Everything you offer with trust, I receive tenderly and turn into seeds of blessing. There are things I am calling you to leave behind today, and you may think of them as losses. Yet I want you to look deeper. When I ask you to lay something down, I am not taking it away to leave you empty. I am preparing that space to place something better within it. Each time you courageously say yes to my voice, a new door opens in the spiritual realm. Each time you release what no longer belongs in the light, another layer of grace is poured upon your life. And as you continue walking in this way, the day will come when you look back and realize that every small decision you made today has led you onto a path far more radiant than you ever imagined. So I gently invite you not to delay any longer. Look honestly at your life and listen to what is stirring within your heart. Is there something you are holding onto simply because you fear change? Release it. Is there something you tolerate only because everyone around you does the same? Walk away from it. You are not a soul meant to dissolve into the patterns of the world. You are one whom I have called out of darkness to become light. And that light does not begin with loud displays, but with quiet faithfulness in your daily choices. As you walk in this way, you will notice peace gradually returning to your heart, burdens growing lighter, and doors you once thought closed beginning to open. The sky over your life will become clearer, because I remain faithful to every word I have spoken. I love you not because you have never failed, but because you belong to me. For this reason I will continue to teach and shape you. Just as a patient father guides his child step by step, blessings have not disappeared from your life. Sometimes they are simply waiting ahead until you are ready to move forward in obedience. And when you choose to step forward, nothing will be able to stop the flow of grace from heaven that pours upon you. Rise and stand in the light I have set before you. Let your renewed life become a lamp for other souls who are still walking in darkness. When they see the transformation within you, they will recognize that I am still at work, still healing, still calling people back into the light. Yet, my beloved child, I want to lead you deeper into something that many people do not understand. Many souls believe that healing comes only when they ask for great miracles. They plead with me to remove their pain and lift the burdens from their hearts. I hear all those prayers. But you must understand that true healing is not always a moment when I simply touch something and everything instantly changes. Healing often begins along the path of obedience you walk with me day after day. When you humble yourself before my will, the door of restoration opens from the deepest roots of your soul. Many people long for their bodies to be healed while their hearts still cling tightly to bitterness, control, or memories they refuse to release. You must understand that a closed heart cannot fully receive the flow of grace. But when you are willing to open your heart to me, oh, when you allow me to enter the deepest chambers of your soul, healing begins to grow from within. There was a moment when I gently touched your heart and urged you to forgive someone. You hesitated, and I understand why. Wounds can make the heart afraid to open again. But listen to me when you hold tightly to that pain. You allow it to continue ruling your life. Yet when you choose obedience even before your emotions change, light begins to enter the cracks of your soul. You say you cannot forget what happened. I do not ask you to erase that memory from your mind. I simply invite you to allow me to enter that memory with you. You say you are not strong enough to let go. Yet it is precisely within your weakness that my power is revealed most clearly. When you admit that you need me, you open the door for strength that comes from heaven. Think of the quiet mornings when gentle light pours through the window and the world is still asleep. In moments like these, I am nearer to you than you realize. I am not waiting for eloquent words, only a simple sentence from your heart, Father. Today, I want to walk in your will. That single prayer is enough for me to begin a deep work within your soul. I do not always move through spectacular signs. Often I work through patience and tenderness, slowly touching the places you yourself did not know needed healing. Obedience is like a medicine that heaven offers to humanity. It is not always easy to receive, but it carries the power to restore the deepest parts of the soul. When you allow me to touch what you fear, facing the most, a painful memory, a hidden shame, or a failure you still carry, I do not come to condemn you. I come to remove the thorn from your heart, and when that thorn is taken away, you will discover that your soul can breathe again, open again to the light, and continue walking on the path of freedom that I prepared for you long ago. My beloved child, as you continue walking the path I have set before you, I want you to understand more deeply what your soul is learning each day. You often imagine healing as something that arrives in powerful moments, like lightning tearing across a dark sky. Yet the way I touch your soul is usually far gentler than that. I restore you by leading you to the place where you trust me enough to lay down the burdens you have carried for far too long. When you dare to loosen your grip and say with sincerity that you no longer wish to control everything on your own, that is the moment your healing begins. It is not the surrender of weakness, but the surrender of love. You are telling me that your trust is greater than your fear, that you choose to place your heart under my guidance rather than relying only on what your eyes can see. And when that simple confession rises within you, all of heaven trembles with joy, because a soul has just crossed the boundary of doubt and stepped into the land of true faith. Remember this: my grace is not limited by the depth of the wounds you carry within you. There is no injury in your life that my light cannot reach, and no darkness dense enough to prevent my love from entering. Yet grace always waits for the moment when your heart opens. I do not break down the door of your heart, for I honor the freedom I placed within you from the very beginning. When you open yourself in trust, grace flows in, like water finding its way through an open path. And one day in the future, when you look back on the journey you have walked, you will realize that every time you chose to listen to my voice, a portion of your old pain was quietly healed. Your steps of obedience are not only acts of faith, they are also pieces of the restoration that I am silently building within your life. I want you to see your life from a different perspective, one that many people overlook. You often believe that blessings must arrive with dramatic moments, sudden changes that leave everyone astonished. Yet I rarely build a life through flashes of lightning. I build it through small bricks, placed one by one each day through your simple choices. I see the moments that no one else notices. I see when you pause in the middle of a busy day to whisper a brief prayer to me. I see when you hold back a harsh word and instead choose gentleness. I see when you take time to listen to someone who longs to be understood. I see when you carry out the ordinary tasks of life with a grateful heart. These things may appear small in your eyes, but in my kingdom, they carry far greater value than you realize. My blessings do not always arrive with dazzling sound or radiant light. Often they come quietly, like the morning dew that settles upon a field at dawn, gentle, yet renewing the earth. Every small act you perform with love and faithfulness sends echoes into eternity. Sometimes you ask me how you can know whether you are walking the right path. The answer does not lie in extraordinary signs on the outside, but in the choices you repeat each day. The direction of your life is shaped by those seemingly insignificant decisions. Remember that those who accomplish great things rarely begin with grand deeds. They begin with very small steps. But those steps are repeated with steadfast faith. When you are faithful in little things, I prepare you for greater ones, not because I require you to prove something to me, but because I desire your heart to be strong enough to carry greater blessings without being led astray by them. A soul that has not learned faithfulness in simple matters will struggle to stand firm when greater responsibility rests upon its shoulders. That is why I teach you through the small details of everyday life, not to burden you, but to build within you a solid foundation. You must also understand that the strength of your spiritual life does not depend on fleeting emotions. Emotions may change like the weather of a single day, but steadfastness is what keeps you standing through every season of life. When you pray, even when your heart does not feel inspired. When you choose to read my word, though your mind is still busy. When you continue to trust, even while circumstances remain unchanged. You are planting seeds that one day will become a rich harvest. Faith does not exist only in powerful declarations spoken before a crowd. True faith often appears in the most ordinary moments, where no one is watching. That faith can be seen in your kitchen when you perform familiar tasks with gratitude. It appears when you show patience toward the person who tests your temper the most. It is revealed when you choose forgiveness instead of holding on to bitterness. Decisions like these create new currents within your soul. When you choose honesty instead of compromise, light is rekindled. When you choose to speak with me instead of sinking into complaint, you open the door for my presence to enter that situation. Some believe that spiritual life is proven only through great miracles. Yet I tell you that genuine spiritual life is built through the discipline of small choices made with great faith. Therefore, never underestimate an ordinary day. Do not dismiss a quiet morning when you simply sit before me in stillness. In those moments, your soul is being renewed by the breath of heaven. A word of encouragement you offer may become light for someone walking through darkness, even though you may never know it. I see all of these things. No drop of sweat you shed in faithfulness is forgotten. No effort you offer with a sincere heart becomes meaningless. In my kingdom, what is small is multiplied by the light of eternity. You may not see the results immediately, but I am working in depths that your eyes cannot yet perceive. I also know that there are days when you feel weary, days when you wonder why your efforts seem to produce no visible change. But remember that the growth of a tree does not occur in a single night. It develops quietly over time, through a slow yet steady process. The seed I have planted within you grows in the same way. If you patiently continue to nurture it with faith and gratitude, in its proper season, it will sprout and blossom. I want you to learn to recognize my presence in the small moments of life. When you pause in the middle of a troubled afternoon and lift your eyes toward the sky, I am there. When you decide to forgive before you go to sleep, I am there. When you choose to speak words of gratitude instead of complaint, I am there. I am present in every breath, every step, every choice that turns toward what is good. See life through the eyes of my kingdom. What the world considers small, I see as seeds of power. The world demands quick results, but I teach you patience. The world celebrates dazzling success, but I bless quiet faithfulness. For I know that faithfulness opens doors that talent or strength alone cannot open. When you live with such a heart, each day becomes a place where I can come and lay my blessings. You do not need to wait until you witness great achievements before you rejoice. True joy appears when you know that you are walking in the right direction. When each day becomes a gentle yet sincere yes offered to me. Continue walking in this way. My child, do not search for loud signs to confirm my presence. For often, I am not found in great noise, but in the gentle voice that speaks within your heart each morning. If you remain close to me, listening and continuing to be faithful in simple things, you will gradually realize that your most ordinary days are becoming living miracles. And when you see this, your soul will be filled with a peace that nothing on earth can take away. I am always with you today and in all the days ahead. Now, in the stillness of your soul, let your heart open before me and offer the most sincere words of conversation you carry within. Almighty God, my merciful Father, today I come before you with a humble heart. Please, shine your light into the hidden corners of my soul, where at times I have allowed small habits, misguided thoughts, and silent fears to take hold. Help me recognize the things that hinder me from walking in your good and perfect will. Give me the courage to release whatever no longer belongs to your light, and grant me a gentle heart that listens each day to the tender voice of the Father calling me. Loving Heavenly Father, I ask that you teach me to obey you in the small steps of life. When I stand before choices that seem simple yet have the power to shape my path, grant me the wisdom to choose what pleases you. When my heart trembles or fears leaving behind what is familiar, remind me that your hands are always open to receive me. Help me trust that wherever I release something for your sake, you will begin creating something new and better in its place. Faithful Father, I pray that you give me a heart that remains steadfast in small things. Help me live uprightly even when no one sees. Keep my heart pure even when no praise is offered, and choose what is right even when I must walk alone. Teach me to understand that the quiet moments of life are also seen and treasured by you, and through these small acts, let your power be revealed so that my life may become a living testimony of your love. Gracious Lord, I thank you because you never abandon me, even in my weakness. When I lose my way, you patiently call me back. When I stumble, you do not reject me but gently lift me up again. I know that your love is greater than all my failures, and your mercy always opens the door to a new beginning. For this, my heart overflows with gratitude. Beloved Father, I also thank you for guiding me with wisdom and love. You see not only my present but also the future you have prepared for me. I thank you that every reminder, every correction, and every gentle call from you is meant to lead me closer to true life. Let this gratitude remain within me, so that each day I live may become a song of praise offered to you. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and growing community of faith.